Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Talented Learning Executive Briefing series. On this series, my favorite series, we travel the world virtually to meet with the world's best learning technology vendors, and we learn about their business, their differentiators, and we get to see a differentiation or differentiators in their demonstration. And today's no different. We have Cadmium and their Elevate solution, and Sam Hirsch is going to take us through it today and tell us all about it. So, Sam, all yours. Welcome.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. So before we jump in, my name's Sam Hirsch, account executive at Cadmium. Elevate LMS is our name, and doing this for about my sixth year. And where we really focus is working with any organization who's offering continuing education credits. A lot of times that's association, so we need to integrate with all the different CRMs and AMSs in that ecosystem. But with that being said, what I'm going to do is really take you through the learner experience. What the heck does this thing look like? How do I get there? How do I find content? And then I'll take us through some sample courses. So this is one of our clients, Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine, and this is their website, not the LMS yet. So just take a look at the branding. So like the menu here, this font, this purple ribbon thing, all the way down to the footer. And from their website, I'm going to click on what they happen to call online education site. And now I've transitioned from their website over into Elevate LMS. So from just a branding perspective, we can make ours look just like a client's website, or if they have a particular style guide in mind. And you'll see we're not iframing it in or anything. You'll see the header here, but you'll see we're getting as granular as the CSS. So this font's the same, this purple ribbon, everything all the way down to the footer. So you can really give a seamless experience. And we know for a lot of our customers, right, branding is something they pay a lot of attention to. So now as a learner, I'm in a non-logged in state, so you don't necessarily know who I am, but I can browse if you allow it as an administrator. And so we are what's called a widget-based system. For anyone listening who's not familiar with that, if you've ever used WordPress or Squarespace before, as an administrator on the back end, you don't need to code to create what you see here. You're just dragging and dropping widgets. So it's really meant for education managers, not IT departments to manage. And so in this case, you'll see, this client is showing, on-demand webinars, live, podcasts, in-person courses, both recordings, in-person events, a search the site here, or recommended for you. But because we are a widget-based system, really allows a lot of flexibility. So, we have some clients who literally just have 3 courses, so they're just going to throw them on their homepage. And we have some clients who literally have over 1,000 different learning opportunities. So as you can imagine, especially when you have users who don't always interact with you, especially if you're selling courses, right? It's got to be easy for them to navigate to find what they're looking for beyond just, a search the site like we obviously have here. So this client is letting you kind of explore by topic, but then they're showing, do you want your certifications? Do you want your webinars, journals, recommended? Perhaps I want to browse by price or by experience level. And I'll click on that there. Is it an introductory course, intermediate, advanced? And all these words are completely made up. So it's however the client thinks the best navigation would be for their learners. And then one other thing, you'll see this rolling marquee up here. And so what's nice about this is, where you are now may be vastly different in 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. And so you can always change this. And one thing that, you can see ASAM here, they've got their upcoming annual conference. So obviously they need to constantly change this out. We have some people who do promotions, even people who have partners or sponsors that either get their own page or they have a little something on the home page. So that's something pretty neat that you can do with our system. So for purposes of the demo, we integrate with basically all the association management systems out there and then tons of CRMs. We are typically doing single sign-on. A lot of our clients want the purchasing to happen somewhere else outside of the LMS. We can support that. And then a lot of clients want data from the LMS back into their database of record, who earned a CE, who finished a course. All that is possible. I won't be going into that today, but just know that if you've got a CRM, and especially if you've got an AMS, high likelihood we've integrated with it from IMIS all the way down to, say, a Wild Apricot or Member Clicks. So let's say I'm logged in now. I am going to go to my personal dashboard. Every learner is going to get their own dashboard. And this is where they can see all the courses they've ever taken. all sortable. And we do have an e-commerce, so if a client is using our e-commerce, you'll see there's this handy dandy resend receipt button here, because I'm sure no one's clients or customers ever lose their receipts and have to come bother you. But you can easily do that. And then on top of that, I'm going to get my own transcript. So for anyone giving continuing education credit, this is where, as an end user, I can find all the CE or points, CME, CNE, whatever you need to call it, that they've ever earned. I can easily, as a user, viewer, print my certificate again, filter it by date, display total credits, download all this as a PDF, and even add credits that I've earned outside of the LMS. And they'll just show under external credits and achievements earned, and full reporting as an administrator on all of this, obviously. So I'm going to go to the catalog here. And so a lot of our clients, what's really big is events, particularly live virtual events, especially with COVID. And so that's the first example I'm going to show you. So this is the title of a course. Now, right now I'm logged in, and so this is saying it's free for me, and we can support different user types. Think member, non-member, subscriber, non-subscriber. Just real quickly, I'll do a little hack, and I'll come here as a non-member. And you'll see the system is now charging me a differentiated price. Now, those terms, member, non-member, completely made up. Could be student, teacher, principal, whatever, doesn't matter. And based upon those user types, you can have differentiated pricing. You can even hide courses based upon those user types. So let me go back in here to make this free. So we'll see this includes a live event today. Right here, this is where you would put in what is this course about. It's what's called a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. So you can put in pictures, charts, videos, et cetera, et cetera. And then all these tabs here are customizable. So like instead of overview, this could be course info. I have a fake sponsors tab that looks pretty ugly, but you can make this much prettier. You could get rid of it, add in learning objectives, CE information. A common one is you want to show who your instructors or your speakers are. And we do have speaker management. So once a speaker is in our system, they're there forever. So you just need to, as an administrator, search by their name and then attach them to the course. And then end users, if they say don't remember a course name, they just remember the speaker, those are searchable as well. So they can search them by speaker. But I will go ahead and register for this. And this webinar is going to begin any moment now. That's how I've set this. And so because this webinar or event, live virtual event, is about to begin, the system knows that. And it's automatically opening this modal, telling me early login is open, click here. Now, assuming, I registered a day, a week, et cetera, ahead of time, Elevate will send a confirmation email. In that email, there's the hyperlinked blue button to add it to their personal calendar. And then from Elevate, the administrator can send automated email reminders as well. They can choose what those say and how frequently that those go out. But whenever they're ready, they authenticate themselves by logging back in. They come here. And when they click this button, what's happening now is they're leaving the LMS and moving over to the webinar tool. Now, what's opening up here is a webinar tool called Event Center, just kind of a random one. In today's world, you kind of have to be agnostic. I know a lot of people use Zoom, but there's so many still on WebEx, GoTo, Skype, Teams. And in 3 years, there could be one that hasn't even been invented yet. So what we're really doing is you're taking that direct URL from, say, a Zoom, a Teams, wherever, and you're putting it in the back end of Elevate. And that's what's opening up a brand new window. So we're just hyperlinking out to it so we can be agnostic in that sense. We do with GoToWebinar and Zoom Webinar, which happen to be more popular among our customer base. We do have a deeper integration with those. So for example, you can actually hook up your account ID. And then after that, you can go into Elevate, say, okay, I want to do a meeting on this day and this time. And it'll push that information to both Zoom Webinar and GoToWebinar. And then on top of that, we just released some new features where reports from Zoom and recordings. So, from Zoom Webinar, you get those reports, the polling reports, the attendance reports, the recorded event. That will now appear back in the reporting section native to Elevate. So we can really work with any webinar tools, happen to just have a deeper integration with Zoom Webinar and GoToWebinar.
Sam, question about that. The reports that come back, it's the data into your reporting engine then? So that's with all the rest of your data, or is it separate from the rest?
So the reports are going to be found in the same location. What it is, it's you choose whatever webinar you want or you search by it, and then you're downloading the Zoom report, but it's all out of Elevate.
Okay.
Great question. So now let's say I finished the webinar, the event, I love it. You'll see now we've got a bit of a learning path. So obviously, like most LMSs, you can set a learning path. These can be set any way you want. What some of our clients do, you'll see this verification code thing is, with a live event, they will, they know someone entered the event and, were there, but how do they know they were really paying attention? So they will sometimes on a PowerPoint slide or verbally announce a code, and you can see if I missed that code, I cannot move on. But that is obviously optional. We support exams, quizzes. I'll run through these features because there's a lot quickly. But you can set thresholds to pass. You can include pictures and videos, as you see here with a picture. We support multiple choice, true, false, multi-select, and matching. So like match cities with their states. And finally, short answer. So that one's going to be graded by an instructor because that's more subjective. You'll see here it says uncategorized. So you can categorize questions, and then you can pull reports on that. We can do support banks of questions. So here's 50 questions. The system pulls 10, so it's different for everybody. And you can choose to show answers, explanations. So, oh no, this is a hammer because X, Y, Z. And probably one or two other quiz features that if you're more interested in, you can come talk to me. Surveys, you'll see here, we do evaluations, we support as well, and all the standard survey types. Likert scales, radio groups, free form text, I'll put this in quizzes, all reportable by individual, and it'll summarize it for you as well. And then finally, I've earned my certificate of achievement. And so I can print it, it'll go to my transcript if I ever lose it. And then this can have CE or not have CE, or you can give CE without a certificate, and no limit on how many certificates that you offer, completely up to you. So that was an example of a live event. I'll go to something a little bit more instructor-led or cohort-based. Let me just pull up a couple here. So real quick, this is if you do any cohort-based or kind of longer courses, maybe over multiple weeks, months, multiple modules. This is purely just a visual thing, just one way to do it, but you can pop open and pop close. You'll see here, and it says week 1, week 2, completely made up. But if you have a long course, sometimes that's just visually nice to do. And I'll go over here now and register.
Hey, Sam, help us out here and define a little bit what cohort means.
Yeah, I'm using that very broadly, but we'll see. Sometimes we have some folks who want to do, they've got a group of, say, 30 students that they are doing a multi-week, multi-month class for. And so they're all learning together. So sometimes that's a little bit different. You might want discussions to be part of that because they're interacting versus something that's just asynchronous or, a one-time webinar that cohort's learning together is how I'm defining it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so they would attend live sessions together. They would take inter or
asynchronous.
Yep. And then meet up at checkpoints at whatever weeks in this case.
That's exactly right. And this is really just a visual thing, but like if you had all those out with none of these breakers, it would just get a little long on the page. So this is just a more pleasant way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
And then on continuing on that point, right? They may have an on-demand video they need to watch. I'm going to click view video here. Get that. With videos, we can do things like preventing fast forwarding. Mm-hmm. And requiring people watch a minimum amount of time. So like you need to watch 10 minutes of this 30-minute video before we even let you move on. That's all possible. We also, it's not shown here, but if you have, standard Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all the standard documents can be loaded as part of a course. And we accept all versions of SCORM. So 1.2, 2004, those all can be uploaded into our system. And we're using behind the scenes RustDC, the SCORM cloud, which many of you may be familiar with. On top of that, you'll see there's this discussion here. So if it is a little bit more kind of instructor-led or there's cohorts, you can set it where there are asynchronous discussions. And you'll see it says make one discussion post to continue. So you can actually require people participate in a discussion in order to move on into the next step. So I'll click on that. If you don't upload a profile picture, it's just going to default to your initials, but we do offer you the ability to upload your own profile pictures, and you'll see a handsome gentleman here, a cat here. It's a threaded, standard threaded discussion, so you can reply to specific people. We also support assignments. Think of this as submitting a paper to a teacher. So, I would read the instructions. So please submit a paper on the Bill of Rights. I would submit or post in a URL of whatever I'm submitting. And the instructor or teacher, whatever, would get a notification. They could then give it a grade or just a pass fail, and then give feedback that would be emailed back to the learner as well.
Mm-hmm. Sam, is that the relationship just between student and teachers, or could that be student to students also for like peer review?
That is only for student to instructor or whatever that relationship is. So one-to-one, more think of like a grade. For student feedback, it would be posting something in the discussion here. And it wouldn't be, you put in like a Microsoft, a Google Doc or something like that, where people can track changes off the site. Yeah. Great question. We do have some social learning features as well. So you can choose to show, or the administrator rather, can choose to show who's registered in a course with me. Full privacy settings. So if I don't want to be shown, except to admins, I don't have to be. I could add users. I could message someone. So maybe they had an interesting comment and I just want to chat with them one-on-one, or like Slack or texting one to a couple. And anyone I message here will automatically get an email, and I'll get an email back. So I don't have to come here to check it. And we even have, a site-wide user directory, where I can see everybody in the LMS with me. Again, full privacy settings if I don't want to be listed here. And then we do have discussions that are not related to a course. So a little bit more on that social or community aspect. But if you do want to have forums or discussions not tied to courses, we support that as well.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some cool things. With COVID, virtual events obviously became a really, really big thing. We'd actually been doing virtual events with some services we provide since 2010. And Elevate had actually done virtual conferences pre-COVID, but because of COVID, that accelerated some features we built. So this right here is something we call a product microsite. What we're doing is we're blowing up a course into a brandable item, so it could look different than the rest of your site. What I like to say, and this is actually included with Base Elevate, which is pretty neat. What I like to say is this would be if you had like a workshop that used to be in person, but now it's got to go virtual because that's just where the market is now. But you don't want it to look like just another webinar. Or perhaps like this client, you've got a one-day virtual conference, not a tons of sessions, right? You can see here that they've got like 5 different sessions. You really just need like almost a one-pager to show that. And you'll see in this case, you can upload your own header as an administrator. The green here and the white are the colors, and the hover over, you control all that. And then you can upload a footer as well. And you'll see here, it's that same tabs, right? So they're showing the agenda, they're showing the speakers, they're putting in, some resources here once you're logged in. And then they have a discussion here as well. But I would register like normal, and then this is obviously old, but I would jump into the live events, just like I showed you earlier. And, if there's a survey, certificate, etc. And so again, that's really good for like those smaller virtual events. And then we do have some clients who use Elevate actually quite a bit for large virtual events, or now hybrids. And so what we can do is we can create a branding off the main LMS that looks completely different than the rest of the site, and it's multi-page. What's nice is it'll still, if you have an integration with a CRM or AMS, it's still maintaining that, so we don't need to recreate that or anything. And it's just using that widget-based system. So you'll see here, this client just uploaded, a nice little YouTube video of themselves welcoming everybody. They've got some things on the side here. You'll see they've got on-demand live sessions. So I'll click on view sessions. We have an agenda widget is one of the things we created. So when you put in your schedule of all the live virtual events or in person in our system, you can just select which ones, and then it will automatically create this accordion, right? So these are all the sessions and concurrent, doesn't matter, right? All throughout. And I'll click on, view session here. And it's just going to bring me back to that course or session page right where I see the overview, the speaker, and if I was registered, right, I would jump right in and maybe you need to ask a survey or afterwards or give someone CE. And then on top of that, I'll go to another site. We have an exhibit hall that's new. As a little aside, right, this client, I mentioned this a bit earlier, but they've got sponsors and exhibitors that they're just throwing on the home page. But I'll go to the exhibit hall here. And so this client didn't do it. You'll see these tiles are all the same shape. Think of these as booths. You can actually set it where the booths are different sizes, right? So the platinum members get the largest ones and then so on and so forth. I'll click into a booth here as an end user. And so up to you. So you can actually set different levels. So for example, a platinum vendor or sponsor or exhibitor can only, can upload anything they want, but a gold can only upload up to one video and one document and a little bit of text. So this client, for example, is uploading videos, and these are documents that I need to register for in order to download, or register and log in to download. They've got a chat, more information. I don't think it's shown here, but there, you can have like a drop your business card where I have to input information that the vendor requires. And the vendor can put in all this info, they get assigned a booth and they can upload all this information themselves. So just somewhere that our Elevate LMS has pivoted to a bit that seems to have honestly gotten really, really large. A lot more features and a lot of services we provide around that, including white glove service. But with that and looking at the time, I do want to go to the back end just to show you how you set up a course and that type of thing. John, before I do, anything on the front end you had questions on or wanted me to discuss?
I'll hold them for now. I'm following. Great demonstration, Sam. Keep going.
Awesome. All right. So I will briefly go to the back end. All right. So you should see now my screen. We are on the administrative side of things, and I skipped right to the course, the webinar we were in, but on the back end. So if you recall, right, there was the webinar, what churches print, there was the code, the exam, the survey, the certificate. You'll see to change the order of anything, it's simply drag and drop. So pretty simple. To make things required, we call those prerequisites. So for example, before I get to the certificate, I have to have completed the survey. So that's how you're setting prerequisites. Everything you ever create or load into the LMS is stored in the library. So for example, you may reuse the same survey quite a bit. So I would go to the library. I could search by keyword of the file type or search by survey. In this case, I would say, oh, yep, I want to use this survey, and I would copy it in. And then very quickly, right, maybe I need to change an instructor's name or one little thing, add in a question, but in this case I won't, and I'll hit update. And you can see now I've added in this survey, and I can obviously move it wherever I want. But for now, I'll delete that. The obvious question is, okay, well, I see how, these are all here, but how did these get here in the first place? So our nomenclature is we call these components. And so I'm going to hit create new component. That's what you might call a learning object. And so here is where I'm choosing what I want to load up. Acknowledgement, HTML content, that's really, sometimes people want to say, have a pop-up that says, I hereby acknowledge I won't cheat, or I am who I say I am, and you can have, an I agree, I acknowledge button. We talked about assignments, credits, discussions, files, in-person events, MP3s, podcasts, think of it that way, quizzes, forms, surveys, videos. Web content would be webinars or any direct URL, any embed code to a YouTube, Vimeo, or any platform. But I'll choose video and give it a title. Hit next step. As I mentioned earlier, you can do things like preventing fast forward, requiring a minimum amount of time to watch, literally just a click of a button. If I forget, for example, certain things, what is required minimum time? You'll see there's just these handy dandy, helpful question marks everywhere. So just kind of telling you if you forget what certain things are. And then I'm just going to upload the file right here. And then I'm going to hit update. A little bit of upload time, obviously. Boom. And now we've got course 1, 2, 3, which is a video. And I, again, can obviously, move it wherever I'd like. But again, now I will delete it here. Awesome. And so that is, I would say, high level of creating a course as an administrator. John, I think this is, unless you want me to go into something else on the back end, I think this is probably a pretty good place to stop for questions or anything else you'd like to say.
So all the content in the system gets uploaded once, and then it's in that central library. And when you put that into another course, does that remain the same, or is there also a concept where you can kind of do like a save as of that and have different configurations? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. So when you are loading anything from the library and putting it in a new course, we now count that as two separate things. So if you change that one, it will not change the original. It's not going to change the original.
Mm-hmm. If I want to have the original in 50 places and not change it, that's how it works currently, or no?
Yeah, so you're saying I upload a video and I want the same video in 50 different courses?
Yep. And then I change it once, I can change it in 50 automatically?
No, won't change automatically in the other 50.
So then you go back, that's what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right, John.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the way around that is, if you have something in YouTube or using an embed code, you change it somewhere else. And then we do have another tool called WarpWire under the Cadmium brand that is, think of it as like a private YouTube. It's a competitor like a Panopto or Kaltura, which it's advanced video tool. So you can do a lot of things with it and we integrate with it. So that would be another way to do it. That is an additional, fee for that tool, but it's quite spiffy and a pretty awesome tool.
Okay. All right. Last question. A lot of these questions are just generated from my consulting opportunities of just things that I've heard people ask for that I haven't seen yet. When you're creating that week 1, 2, 3, 4 concept, you don't have to go there. I would assume it looks the same as this. Each week has the building blocks that you can drag.
You're just hitting add new section.
Just add new section.
Week 1, start before here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just exactly like you said, you're just dragging and dropping wherever you want it to start.
So I can even take these components now and move these from week 1 to week 2,
whatever, or move the component section. Move the section break. Yep, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. That's really nice.
Yeah. And I did realize there's one other module I did neglect to mention for certifications. I can just mention it now, or if you think we have time, I can show that briefly.
Yeah, we have time.
Okay. So some of our clients, and I'm just gonna have to log back in here as a user, do certifications where there's more, official renewal periods, not just for CE. And so we do have a certification module around that. And so the way that works is, again, it could be integrated with a database where payments happening there, but it'll show all that are available to me. And I could enroll, and that, again, can be set by user type. Once I've enrolled, it'll track my in progress for me at this handy dandy progress bar, but I'll hit details here. With a certification, it will be a group of courses, and you can have some courses that are required and some that are electives, and you assign elective points. So think of this, okay, here's 3 required courses. Here's now 20 electives worth different amount of points, and you need to do 7 points worth in order to earn this certification. And it'll track each course as well as where I am in the total certification. And then once I've finished, you don't have to give an expiration date. Well, you'll give an earn date and a certificate, but an expiration date. And then when I want to recertify to maintain my renewal, this moves back into the in progress. And those courses can be completely different or the same as what I use to earn that certification. So maybe I need to take 20 electives over a 2-year period, and we'll have email reminders and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So to summarize, you can have a different recertification path for that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the big thing is it'll track for the user and the administrator where they are in that path. Oh, they only have 90 days left. Send out an email. They're about to expire, right? And so it does all that for them, and both the administrators, there's tracking on the report side, and then for the end user as well.
Right.
No more Excel sheets, which is what I hear a lot.
Sure. I can imagine. What about reporting the analytics?
Yeah, let me go back in as an admin. All right, so let's go here. All right, so here are the reports. So each of these is a group of reports. I will start with site stats. So I like to say this is like high level. You're reporting to your board, whoever, right? You can filter by date, and these are going to be a little bit more visual, right? So they'll show your top 10 courses by registrations. So what's doing well by registrations or by revenue, right? If you're charging, who's buying, what's being bought a lot. Who are my top users, again, by registrations or by revenue, which can be obviously different. User engagement percentage. This is how many people come to the site is the denominator, and the numerator is how many people actually take a course, right? So 5% means 100 people came to the site and 5 people actually registered for a course. What's my number of quiz submissions, passing and failing? And then what are my top pages viewed? And again, a page is anything from the home page, any other page, and then any course is a page as well. So typically the home page, right, is going to be the most popular, but maybe you have an exhibit hall and you want to see how popular that is, for example. And then finally, top products viewed. So this is nice because you can see registered, unregistered. So you may say, oh man, on this more than 50% of people aren't registering for this course. Perhaps I need to give a better explanation. Maybe I do a little preview video in one of those tabs so people understand, why they should register. Maybe I charge a little less money, right? Whatever it may be. So these are kind of like the high level stats. The rest of our reports are going to be more Excel based, so all are reportable by CSV. So I'll click on a simple report here. Let's say I want to know who's registered for a course and maybe how much have they paid me. So you can search by, we call courses products. So by all products or specific, but I'll do all. Filter by date. You'll see in this product, I can customize, it defaults to 10 fields, but I can change fields. And so, right, perhaps I don't need their email, but I want their organization there with, which there probably won't be anything. Maybe I just want that. And right, you can see add in a bunch if they use discount codes, anything like that. But I'll hit show results here. And now very quickly, right, I can see everybody, who they registered for, what they registered for, and how much money did they pay, and we're on my demo site. So luckily everything is free and everything is downloadable as a CSV. And some reports can actually be emailed to myself as well, if that is easier for the end user. Another common report is a quiz report. So both quizzes and surveys work the same way. So I'll choose all products and I will go backwards in time quite a bit. And so you'll see here's a quiz. Let's do this first. So quizzes can be searched by how did an individual user respond, like you see here, right? So these all passed except Jen, who got 0%, and how did they do individually on each one of these? But then you can get a summarized report. Again, this is both for quizzes, which I'm showing you now, and surveys. So you can see here, 4 out of 3 people got correct, 25% said C, which was wrong, and 75% got the right answer. And same thing here. So at a glance, right, as you're looking through quiz reports, you could start to see, oh, shoot, 80% of people are getting this question wrong. Is this something I mislabeled or, something that is unclear? And then, of course, going back to the reports, depending on your preference, you can pull by user or by course. So maybe you have a user call up and you need to pull for that learner specifically, or you want to just see how people are doing in a course. Lots of different reports here, but you can see exactly how somebody is doing within a course, which component they're on. And then obviously in that same report, you can also pull the survey, quiz, if they finish the course, certificate, CE user. And then you can override users' information as well. So if someone says, oh, I swear I finished this, my cat jumped on my keyboard and messed it up, you can move people forward or move them backwards for whatever reason.
How about e-commerce or the revenue reports?
Revenue reports. So yeah, you could do registration revenue by user, or if you want to see product revenue, so revenue by course. And mine are all going to be $0, but yeah, and you can have summary or detailed report, which will show the individuals and how much they paid, and all exportable by a CSV. And then we can support, we have things like discount codes and all that good stuff in our e-commerce. We have a full e-commerce, and that will show in reports as well.
Mm-hmm. And just verbally, what are some ways that you can sell a course? It looked like it was member, non-member, or whatever we want to call that. So group-based pricing, and it looked like do ad hoc. It looked like you could do a subscription also.
Yeah, you can do, we call them bundles or packages that can also be subscriptions. Think of it like bundling is a good way to think of, is a common use for packages, right? So I've got these three I can buy together or separately, but if I buy them together, it's less. We support discount codes by percentage, dollar amount, and then credit card and checks we support. And then we don't take a cut of any of the money. We just integrate with a payment processor. We work with tons of them. So whoever the client uses is typically fine. Stripe, BluePay, Authorize, PayPal, and a bunch more that I'm neglecting to remember.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And one more time, the target market for your solution is really any U.S. based or global association, or that had to sell continuing education credits?
Really anyone who's offering any type of CE is a good fit. Happens to be tons of associations. So that's obviously, you've been seeing the samples I've been showing. That's who we've been working with a lot. But we do have some corporate customers who offer CLE, CPE, CME, CNE. And then the other kind of use case would be, where we don't work is actually a good way to put it. K through 12 universities, really not our market. Internal training, typically, need to integrate with an HRIS, HRIM system. Not us at all. But perhaps you want to educate a community. Maybe it's partners where, they don't have to come for you. They don't have to take your training. It's more optional. Maybe you're charging them. That's where we're also a good fit, because unlike, a lot of LMSs who, when it's internal training, it's like, well, a learner's got to take it. User interface and that experience isn't as important for us. In our clients, that user experience is huge for them, and the e-commerce is huge. So that's really where we're a good fit.
Mm-hmm. And final question, you mentioned at the beginning, you didn't use these words, but this is capable of sitting behind an AMS storefront. And
that's exactly right.
And then just providing the learning after the purchase happens and the user's identified and all that.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. What most of our clients do is they actually still use our system for that browsing and shopping experience, but when they click the register button, it prompts them to log in, and then they check out in the AMS. So all the financials are there, and then with a redirect URL and an API, it brings that information back to it redirects the user back to us, as well as brings that information. But you can do it the way you mentioned as well. Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, great presentation, great demonstration, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Summary from my standpoint is, it's a real target specialist solution in continuing education. It looks really, really modern and clean and easy to use for administrators and for end users. So I can see that you've been investing some money over since I've seen it last, and improving that. So that's obvious, and it comes out. It's nice to understand, just by the nature of that, to have all the integrations you need from an AMS and a CRM standpoint, and really designed to sell these continuing education credits in a way that's directly aligned to an organization's brand and really core business of generating content. So one of the key differentiators that I saw today is really the advancements that you're making in the virtual and hybrid learning, and just the workflow that's associated with that is pretty cool. I've seen, even though this isn't the learning part, but just the speaker booth or the exhibitor booth, and controlling that and managing that, and having administrative reports I saw, and reports for end users, and shuffling off the responsibility for them to upload their materials, and then restricting that based on the level of member they are. I mean, all of that is manual stuff that people are doing, with a salesperson and a spreadsheet. And so that part was really nice. I love the dashboard. I see your reports are kind of like in a halfway state. The dashboard is super cool with a lot of nice insights. It'd be nice to see continue to roll that out through some of the other reports, I'm sure, over time.
That is on the roadmap, some more business intelligence.
Because it looks really good. The reports look really good, and be nice to just keep on expanding that capability
Yep.
of what you can choose and how you can customize it, but grouping them into those different categories and then modifying them from there is a nice strategy that a lot of the competition stops short of, for sure. What else did I like that the white glove service that you use to go around this, as well as the product microsites. That's a different approach that I don't see very often. Maybe variations of that, but you guys do it really nicely, and that part is a good differentiator. So, all in all, I see exactly where your target market is and how you fit in.
Goal.
Yeah, how you fit in. So if your audience, if you're selling continuing education, if you're an association and you want to take it from, maybe you're using some older, boring stuff and taking a look today, you can just see that just because you're a nonprofit or just because you're an association doesn't mean you can't have like Apple quality visuals on how everything looks and gets put together. And that's what Elevate brings to the table. So yeah, love it. Sam, thanks. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for having us, John. Really honored.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Have it, audience. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Talented Learning Executive Briefing Series. We had a good one today as we continue to dig deep into some world-class solutions, and today with continuing education. So there you have it. We hope to see you on the next. Sam, Alexis, have a great day. Audience, you too. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, John.